Well, welcome on in everyone to our Fanatic free agency craziness show. We are the North from Philly podcast. I am Adam from Wales, and I'm here with my partner Justin from Tennessee. And I think we're the only fan base just that would have just won a Super Bowl, but are now in complete disarray and panic. At least I'd say 65% of the fan base is sort of panicking. The other percent are like still calm and have trust in Howie and all that. So it's been a crazy week of free agency. Some unexpected trades have happened, and just how we feeling, fella? How we feeling about it all? Because
What's happening,
I'm in a bit of a
feller?
state of panic.
I'll be honest. I knew we would lose Sweat and uh, Milton Williams. I
Yeah,
was hoping we would be able to resign Bond and Becton. Those were the two guys as far as our guys that I was hoping we'd be able to keep. Just found out this morning that Mekhi Becton's going to the Chargers for 2 years, $20 million.
yeah,
Don't know the full cap numbers or anything like that. It's just 2 years, 20. That one kind of hurts thinking about it because listening to everybody going into it, they were saying, if you can get Becton for $10 million a year, you would think Howie would do that to keep continuity on the line and everything. Well, they're saying 2 years, 20 million. I would venture to say it's not fully guaranteed. It's probably
yeah.
2 years, 14 million guaranteed, 15 million guaranteed, and you wonder, why Howie wouldn't do that. So that tells me that they have the utmost confidence in Jeff Stoutland and what he would do with Tyler Steen, Trevor Keegan, and this new guard we've got, Kenyon Green, possibly.
Yeah.
So that's what it looks like it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle at the O line from the looks of it, and I imagine I think Tyler Steen will end up winning the
Yeah,
battle, and unless Keenan Green like wows everyone in training camp and wows Jeff Stoutland. But going by his track record, he hasn't been that good at the Texans. He's had a bit of injury, nick ups here and there, but his overall play hasn't been that good. And like last year, you saw the Texans O line in general how they struggled, and they couldn't protect CJ Stroud. He was running for his life. So it's going to be a bit of a battle, and it'd be interesting to see what Trevor Keegan looks like because he was so good in college at
yeah,
Michigan, and when he came in, like we said before, he looked like a nasty guy that just wants to beat up on guys in the run game and stuff. So it's going to be a good battle. At least that will be something to look out. But it's a shame that they couldn't find a way to keep Mekhi Becton because like you said, like 2 years, 20 million. Like I don't understand how the Eagles couldn't match that or offer a little bit more because we were all under the impression that Becton wanted to stay in Philly, and he had come out and sort of said that he was willing to stay in Philly. So that's another strange one. And then, obviously the CJ Gardner Johnson trade off, because of all this has happened. So how do you feel just about, they bring CJ Gardner back last year because the year before they sort of seen that there was a missing piece on the defense, leadership wise, locker room wise, and play wise, because there wasn't that aggression, there wasn't that want to get the ball off guys. The tackling wasn't there, and CJ comes back this year, and okay, he was a bit funny when he first came back. He missed tackles. The aggression wasn't quite there. But after the bye week, like the whole team, everything flipped. Everything started kicking into gear, and he brought that aggression. He brought that leadership, and the defense became the number one defense, and they helped win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a strange one. Obviously, things went on. We all saw this week on Twitter the thing between him and Darius Slay. They
yeah.
were sort of indirectly taking shots at each other, and then you had AJ Brown sort of come in the middle to try and sort of calm things down. It didn't seem to work, and in the end, I guess the Eagles didn't value CJ's attitude and leadership qualities. I guess they maybe thought it was too much of a distraction. How do you sort of see things just with the CJ Gardner Johnson situation?
Yeah, I'm like everyone else. That one shocked me that we would make that deal. He, like you said, he was here in 22 when we
22.
went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Uh, then, he leaves as a free agent. There was some scuttlebutt about what happened between him and his agent and the deal and everything. And they wind up letting him go to Detroit, and we re-up with Slay. And then he's with Detroit for 1 year, missed most of the year, came back for the playoffs,
Yeah.
though. And then came back to us. We were all happy. And then, we go back to the Super Bowl. We win the Super Bowl. And he's a fan favorite. A lot of people love him. He can be a bit of a distraction, it seems like, and his antics, or whatever you may want to call them, kind of got him in trouble. The Redskins or Commanders game when he got ejected, that was the first game we lost in, like, what did we win,
Mm.
like 10, 11 in a row, and we lost
Yeah.
that one when Jalen got hurt and he got thrown out of the game. And it's kind of like the defense went into a shell when he left the game. I
Yeah.
mean,
He
they
does make that impact.
yeah, they didn't play well at all. So yeah, to say I was shocked would be putting it mildly. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to lean on Sidney Brown, or if they're looking to maybe draft somebody, or if something we talked about in our pre-show talk, bringing in a guy like Justin Simmons, who's more, a Fangio type guy. Maybe
Mm.
CJ wasn't for Fangio. Maybe his, I wouldn't say attitude, but personality is not what Fangio likes, or something like that. Maybe he's
Yeah.
too loud and outspoken or stuff. But sometimes you need that in the locker room. You need somebody
Yeah.
who's going to push back a little bit. Not everything is 100% right in all this. You need a little pushback from time to time to say,
Yeah.
"Hey, coach, what if we do this instead of that?" I don't know what the deal is, but I wasn't happy with it. But hey, I mean, it is what it is. It's done. It's over. So we just got to see what happens and move
Yeah.
on with it.
Strange. It seems to me like there was a lot of factors going into it, because and you look back to like the parade, and you look back to like the NFC Championship game against the Commanders, and you see
Yeah,
the pictures of Howie and CJ, hugging down on the sidelines. You see pictures of Nick Sirianni, and Nick has come out and
yeah,
said that CJ is one of his favorite guys on the team. So it's like, the Eagles have come out and sort of like hinted that it was more of a money cap situation, but it has to be more to that. If it's a case of like Vic Fangio, not being too keen, it's not his type of guy he wants in the locker room on defense. But then you've got to think, well, hang on, isn't that like Nick Sirianni's final decision to
yeah,
make? So it's like, has Nick got that power then? Obviously not, because if it came down to, we want, like we said before, we won't find out these things until years, down the line. But like, who made this decision then? Is it Howie? Was it Fangio? Was it Nick? Did they all agree together? Because, I imagine Nick would have sort of fought to keep CJ in there, because he would have seen, what it did to that defense, bringing him back. So it's a bit of a strange one. And I know, like, the video came out of CJ Gardner, and he said on his Twitch feed or whatever, he said, I thought it was April Fools, and
yeah,
it was just the young guy's got to get paid, and there's no bad feelings, and so maybe it did come down to money in the end. I don't know, but it is very frustrating, because like you just mentioned, who'd you put a safety now? You've got Sidney Brown, you've got Tristan McCollum. Do you bring in Justin Simmons? But then you look back, Sidney Brown didn't get a lot of snaps as safety last year.
mm-mm.
They were going with Tristan McCollum,
Yep,
and he didn't look that great when he was coming in.
no,
So it's like you're relying on, like Slay said, Reed Blankenship is going to be the leader for the time being now in that secondary, with both of them gone. Slay is gone now, Gardner's gone now. So now, you've got Reed Blankenship there now as the most veteran guy, because I don't think, Quinion Mitchell and like Cooper DeJean are going to be quite ready to step up in that leadership role yet, as good as players as they are. You know what I mean? It's usually that second, third year you see guys becoming leaders. So I guess it's on Reed now, to sort of
yeah,
step up until someone fills that slot. So that's another competition we got to look at now, is Sidney Brown, Tristan McCollum, whoever they bring in. They probably want to end up bringing Justin Simmons in the end, probably. These big names are always out there for us to sign, and we never seem to be the ones that get them. You know what I mean? Like Myles Garrett, he ended up choosing money in the end. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That was a joke. I want to win championship football, but yet you've stayed with the Browns. You're not going to win championship. I love Kenny Pickett, and I'm glad that he got to have that year with us and live out his dream of playing for the Eagles and winning the Super Bowl. But he's quarterback one there at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
just
the pushback I have on the money with Chauncey Gardner Johnson is a rumor came out, I think Wednesday or Thursday, that they were in on Justin Reed before he decided to go. Did he go
yeah,
to New Orleans or something?
yeah, New
Like they
Orleans.
were in on him, and I'm like, okay, you had Chauncey, but then you're offering supposed more money to Justin Reed, but
Mm,
everybody's saying, oh, you cut Chauncey as a cost savings and all this. It only saved us 200,000 this year
yeah,
from what Elliott said.
yeah.
So I don't
He
understand. I
had
mean,
another 2 years left on his contract,
yeah,
and it's just like, and you're shipping him out straight after 1 year. You know what I mean? At least give him, next season, and
yep,
maybe you can sort of say to him like, look, Chauncey, we've had some problems now this offseason. We gotta get things right, for next year. We can't have this, like Slayer's gone now. Let's get the locker room right. This is your locker room now. Show us how good you of a leader you can be and be even better than what you already are. But they
yeah.
haven't even given him that chance. It's just not out. A couple of picks. What is it? A fifth round pick this year and like a sixth round pick next year, something like that, or
And we
the other
swapped.
way around.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we got we got the guard and a fifth, and we gave them Chauncey and a sixth. So I mean, it
Mm.
was an upgrade of a pick, but still, yet, man, the guard you get not very good from all accounts. He's decent at run blocking, but he's one of the worst graded guards, and he's only ever played left guard since he's been in the NFL. I think he
Yeah.
played both guard positions at Texas A&M, but he's only played left guard in the NFL. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. He's going to have to go on to the right side of the line, but I imagine they'll
Yeah,
probably, keep him ready to sort of move along the line, left guard if, Landon Dickerson goes down and what have you. But then, we've seen Tyler Seen step into be playing left guard as well,
yeah,
so it's, they're going to, yeah, it's it's very frustrating. We both listen to WIP and like Joe Giglio, I think, burst a blood vessel in
yeah.
his head this week, and Joe DeCamera and Spike. Everyone is sort of, and I'm with them guys to a certain degree. I'm not like panicking, but it's obviously, if there is a money problem, if it is a case of they've been offloading the cap, where all the money's gone. The money's gone on offense. We've paid Saquon Barkley now an extra like 40 million to keep him for another few years, which is crazy when his contract was nowhere near finishing. He's had one season with us. You've got AJ on the one sideline. You're paying Devontae, Jalen. Now is Jalen going to restructure his contract then so we can? It doesn't look like for this year that they've
No.
in talks with him to do that, because they wouldn't have let Becton go. You know what I mean? Or they
Yeah.
they wouldn't have let like you said, keeping Williams and Sweat was going to be a challenge. You're not going to pay Milton Williams the $20 million a year the Patriots are paying him. I'm glad they kept Zach Bone, because me and you pushed that all year, that they've got to keep a linebacker. If they found him, they found a diamond in the rust, and with the Kobe Dean, he's not going to be back at the beginning of the season. It doesn't look like he might be. If his rehab goes well, we might see
It'd be
McCoy,
tough.
but it'll be tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they sort of saw common sense there and signed Zach, because someone was going to have him, someone was going to snap him up, and I'm glad how he had the foresight there. So it's like, what do we do now? It's the draft is coming up. Like we spoke last week, it's deep in defensive tackles. It's deep in edge. There's a couple of guys I like at defensive. There's a couple of guys you like at edge. So how do you think the draft is going to go now? Do you think that, with 32nd pick, do you think Howie's going to stay there now? Or do you think he's going to try and move down and try and make something magic happen to bring in a trade for a free agent or something?
It really depends on how things fall out. Really, we've got a hole at safety, like we said, with Chauncey gone.
Mm,
Can Sid, are they going to trust Sidney to step in, or if somebody starts to slide, are they going to make a move up to get a safety? Because over the next two drafts, I think we have 11 picks in the first four rounds.
yeah.
That's what I'm hearing anyway. So like, it's tough, man. You lose Milton Williams, And even though he wasn't a starter, he played more snaps than Jordan Davis did. And he's such a good pass rush from the tackle position this year. It was insane. This class is loaded at defensive tackle. And I was looking at who they had met with at like the college all-star games, like the Reese's Senior Bowl, the East
Mm.
West Shrine. And I didn't write everybody down. That would be a lot. But like
Yeah.
when you take meetings from the Reese's, the East West Shrine Bowl, the Combine, pro days people have had so far. Like I've got four really good tackles that they've met with. One of them being Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. He's a three technique like Milton Williams. He can rush the passer. This guy was the number one high school player in college or coming out to college 3 years ago.
Yeah.
He went to Texas A&M to begin with, played 2 years at A&M, then transferred to Ole Miss last year. He's 6'3", 296 pounds.
Oof.
Only 21 years old, though. That's
Oh,
why I'm highlighting him because he's
yeah. I
only
like the sound of that.
21. He's young, and that's what it seems like this team is wanting to do. Get young, stay young, because everybody's saying it. What they're doing this time is the opposite of what they done after they won the Super Bowl last time. Last time they re-signed a lot of aging vets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This time they're letting guys go. They're letting them walk, and
Yeah.
they replaced them with younger guys. So before we get into the draft, let's look at the free agents that we brought in and their age.
Yeah.
All right, we got Dorian Thompson Robinson from the Browns. He's
Mm.
25 years old, but he's been in the league 4 years already. All right,
Yeah.
out of UCLA, I think he was a late round pick. I didn't go that far. I think he was like a fifth, sixth round pick maybe,
Yeah.
but very athletic. They're going to use this guy. He's going to be their Jaden Daniels practice squad guy. You know,
Yeah.
when it's practice week for the Commanders / Redskins, this guy's going to be playing the Jaden Daniels part, and
Yeah.
he's going
Oh,
to do it
yeah.
well. Going to do it well. Kenyon Green, the right guard. You know, he's going to be right guard. The kid we got in the trade for
Mm.
24 years old.
Yeah.
24. Okay.
That's the good thing.
Yeah. Josh Uche. I don't know how to say his name. He's the edge rusher.
Yeah.
Started in New England, went to Kansas City
I like
last
the look
year.
of him. I've seen a lot of clips online, and his play looks good. So hopefully, they can do something with him.
Yeah. The only thing he's almost like another Bryce Huff though. He doesn't play the run. He's not a
Yeah.
willing
Yeah.
edge setter. He's only 26 though. Only 26. Okay. Then you got AJ Dillon. Missed pretty much all last year with that neck
Yeah.
stinger issue. That's big because some guys will go out of a game with a neck stinger and be back, in the next quarter. They might miss the rest of the game, be back the next week.
Mm.
One guy might miss a week or so. This guy missed all last
Yeah.
season with a stinger. So who knows with that? Harrison Bryant, very athletic, long, lean, quick tight end. Started out in Cleveland, played last year in Vegas with the Raiders. But you ain't going to get no targets as a tight end when Brock Bowers is the tight end with the Raiders. That kid was an
Yeah.
all-world rookie last
He
year.
was awesome.
But
Yeah.
I like this kid coming out of college. He played at Florida Atlantic. He's 27. He ain't going to set the world on fire blocking, but he can
No.
catch the ball. He can make people miss. He can get some yak. I like it. And then another shocker, Charlie Hewlett, the long snapper. It looks like Rick Lovato's time is
He's
done
gone.
with
Yeah.
Philadelphia. Yeah,
Yeah.
because somebody said, I don't know how true it is, but they're kind of putting some of Jake Elliott's struggles on some maybe tough snaps from Lovato this year. Don't know
Mm.
how true that is. That's just what I've read up on. But this guy, he 35 years old, a little older than Lovato, but hell, long snappers play, up to age 40, something like that. This guy
Yes,
was a
it's not
Pro
it's not
Bowl.
a
Yeah,
a
it's
body working sort of position, is
no.
it?
No. So every free agent we sign is 27 or younger,
Yeah.
So that's 20 years younger than I am. So that's young. So,
Yeah.
but
So
we're getting younger. That's
yeah.
that's that's the big takeaway I look at with free agency because, like we said last time, we re-signed a bunch of older, aging vets
Mm.
trying to run it back, and this time we're just getting younger and we're saving that money. And people are wondering, well, what are we saving it for? Because I think we're still 20 million under the cap. Here's a kicker: what you don't spend this year can roll over into next year, and next year is when Jalen Carter's going to get his deal. Nolan Smith's going to get his. You pick
Yeah.
up that fifth-year option and redo deals with those guys. So
Yeah.
they're going to take every dime they can get to re-sign the core or what they believe and we believe the core of this team is going to be, and that's those young guys like Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, uh, 2 more years, it's going to be Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean.
Yeah,
That's what it's going to be, and probably
yeah,
next year's when Jalen gets a new deal too, if he comes out and balls out again this year.
yeah. This is why I guess, like in the end we sort of do have to trust Howie and his process, because he's not sort of leaving us in he doesn't want to leave us in a position where there's no money to re-sign these guys
Yeah,
next year, because he's got maybe he could have paid Sweat, maybe he could have paid Williams, he could have paid Becton, he could pay Dallas God or whatever, but he's sort of looking at it, I guess, there's these contracts that I've got to sort out next year. And if I offload some money now, I can probably keep those guys next year at a relatively cheaper price than what I would have had to try
yep.
to, kick the can down the road with. So he's looking into the future, but he's not looking too far ahead, because I think he's sort of maybe banking on that Vic Fangio can sort of, look, the defense last year, we sacked you and everyone sacked you, and sort of was like, right, this defense is really young. It's probably going to be a building block here for the defense. We might not get much out of them, but we've got Vic Fangio, so let's just ride it out and bank on the offense. Well, they're sort of going to have to do the same thing again this in the new season now. They're going to have to give Vic Fangio, I guess, the benefit of the doubt again, and he's got some young guys that are going to be coming in, and he's got to build on Jalex Hunt. He's got to keep Nolan Smith on fire like he was. Zach Bourne's got to have another good year. He'll need Quinyon and Cooper to step up again,
Yeah.
and he's going to build the young guys that come in as well. So that's what I guess how he is banking on. Really, is that right? We're not going to leave Vic short, but we're going to keep enough there for him to see what he can do.
I forgot about Adoree Jackson though. When you said that, I forgot we signed him. He's 29. So I said there were 27 and younger. Adoree Jackson's 29, but he's going to come in. He's going to provide good competition to that other spot.
Yeah,
I would prefer Keely Ringo win it outright, because I wanted them to re-sign Isaiah Rogers. I
yeah,
did.
that was a shocker as well.
That
I didn't
was,
expect him to go.
the money that he got, I was like, why did we not keep this guy?
Yeah,
And that, like I said, that just tells me they're wanting to save everything they can this year for when they have to redo Jalen Carter
yeah.
and Nolan Smith next year, because Jalen Carter's going to break the bank. He's going to set the record for defensive tackle,
Oh yeah, big
contracts.
time.
And
Yeah,
Nolan Smith being an edge rusher, if he comes out on fire like he finished last year, he's going to be getting a big contract. So, like I said, sorry I forgot about Adoree Jackson. When you were talking about it, I was like, holy
no,
crap, I
yeah,
just forgot. But yeah, he's going to be competition. And like I said, I would hope Keely could win it outright, but Keely wasn't the first guy off the bench last year. It was Isaiah
no,
Rogers, and they let
yeah,
him
and he
walk
hadn't he
for
hadn't played for a
14
year.
million. Yeah. Yeah, they let him walk for $14 million.
Yeah,
So who knows, man?
yeah, that's another competition we're going to see in training camp now between Dory and Keeley,
Yep.
and they're probably going to draft a cornerback somewhere as
Oh
well.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
They've
Probably in a
met with
later round.
they've met with a few corners as well. You want
Okay.
to start the like
Yeah, yeah. Let's
the
let's let's
draft
get into
stuff,
it.
like
This
with the
is
guys
this
they
is
met with?
Justin's ball game now, everyone. I'm just along for the ride on this one. This is Justin's expertise.
So we'll start on the offensive side. Like, these are guys that they met with at either, like I said, either the combine, the All-Star games, a pro day.
Mm,
Uh, so the first one that jumped out to me is somebody I like a lot. And if we trade Dallas Goddard or let him go, don't be surprised at all if we bring in this guy, Mason Taylor, tight end, LSU. They
yeah, I
met
like
with
him.
him at one of the All Star games, had a formal meeting with him at the combine. He's the number 73 overall prospect out of everyone. So he's probably like, I didn't get his tight end ranking. He's probably top 5 in tight ends.
Yeah,
He don't care to run block. He's very physical. He's like 6'5", 250. He does a great job catching the ball. He's physical. I like him. He's from LSU, SEC guy. We've done well in past years getting SEC guys with Georgia
yeah,
and Alabama. LSU ain't no slouch either. I
no,
really like this guy. And if he could be had like in the third, if we do some moving around and stuff like
yeah,
that, and have kind of a high third round pick, eh, yeah, hell yeah, take him. Another tight end that they met with him, formal meeting at the combine, number 90 overall prospect, Gunnar Helm, tight end, Texas. Another big physical tight end. He did not have a stellar combine. Like his 40 time was a 5 and a 4.98, but
Mm.
he hurt his ankle. He had a severely sprained ankle when he was running his first 40 time. They had pictures of it out on Twitter. Like his
Yeah, yeah,
ankle was 40 shades of blue instead of 40 shades
yeah.
of
Look
gray, man.
nasty.
It was all
Yeah.
messed up. And he still finished his workouts. Like they taped him up. So that tells me the guy's willing to work and go for it and push. So he's another guy you could probably get in the third round. The Mason Taylor may go late second, though. I'm telling you, this guy,
Mm.
I like him a lot. I really do. But
Yeah, he
Gunnar
looked good at
Helm,
the combine.
yeah, Gunnar Helm, like if he could get that ankle, I don't know when Texas's pro day is. I've not looked into that. If it's a badly sprained ankle, it's probably not going to be able to run well there either. So that's probably going to hurt his draft value a little bit, maybe. But when people look at the tape, this guy's going to jump out at you. Like he makes very tough contested catches. He's physical, big tight end, like I said, 6'5", 250, something like that. Don't care to block, don't care to get dirty. Love this guy. So I have a question mark on here too for somebody. They had a formal meeting with this guy at the combine. I had no idea who he was. Going through all these little mock drafts that you and me go through on that PFF draft simulator thing
Mm.
or PFN, whatever it is. I still hadn't seen this dude. And every now and then, I'll still do the mock drafts just to keep up to date. And
Mm.
I hadn't seen this guy anywhere. Like even in the last pick, I might throw a wide receiver in there for shits and giggles or something.
Yeah.
I don't know why they met with this guy. I'm baffled. Like they had literally had a formal meeting. Sam Brown Jr. out of Miami, ranked number
Mm.
299 overall. Like
Wow.
what the heck? There's a lot better receiver. I don't know. Maybe they see this guy as a special teams player, a free agent guy they could bring in practice squad. I don't know the
Yeah.
rhyme or reason why, but that kind of that puzzled me. It really did.
Mm.
Now we go to offensive line. They met with a lot of offensive linemen, especially tackle. So that tells me within the next 2 to 3 years, Lane's probably going to be stepping away.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
definitely.
saying? The best one that they met with is Anthony Belton out of North Carolina State. 6'6", 336 pounds. So they're keeping up with the size of this line. The
Good
what I've
lord.
read up on him, he really excels in pass protection. He's good at setting the anchor for run blocking and whatnot. But this guy is phenomenal at pass blocking from everything I've read. I've not watched anything
Wow.
on him yet. Number 105 overall on PFN Networks draft, all that.
Mm.
I've not looked at anybody else's.
I
I'm
like
just
the
kind
sound
of
of him. Man.
basing it off that. Then there's another guy who I have watched a little bit of film on. He's from Boston College, Ozzy Trapillo, 6'8", 316 pounds. They met with him at All-Star game, formal meeting at Combine, and probably going to meet with him at a pro day from what I've talked. So they really
Yeah.
like this guy. This guy could be had in the third, maybe early fourth round, not sure. But he he does it all, man. Like reading up on him, he can run block. He's mean. He's nasty. He's like what we talk about with Trevor Keegan. He don't care. He's mean as a copperhead snake, buddy.
Yeah.
He don't care to just beat you down and just get on you and beat on you a little bit more.
That's the
That's
thing. These guys could fall in the later rounds. You know what I mean?
yes.
Fifth, sixth round possibly, and if we can snap them up, then they got to take them. But knowing how he might take them in an earlier round if they're
Yeah.
there, because he likes to get his guys, those type of guys, early because he loves building in the trenches.
Like we said, we should have I think 11 picks in the next two drafts within the top 4 rounds. So
Mm.
I don't think Howie's just going to sit and take 11 picks in the top 4 rounds of the next two drafts. I
Yeah.
think Howie's going to use that as trade bait. So
Oh, of
that's why
course.
I'm
Yeah, he
kind of
always does.
thinking. That's why I'm kind of thinking if one of those top safeties start to fall, like last year when the corners fell and we didn't have to do any. Did we move up at all to get Quignon,
Cool.
or did we just
I don't think
we
they moved up to get Quignon,
we
but
moved
I
up to
remember.
get Cooper,
Yeah,
but
they moved
I
up to
don't
get
think we
Cooper,
had to
and
move
then
to
they
get
thought
Quignon, did we?
no, because I think it was. from that video, they thought Cooper was going to land there, and he
Yeah,
didn't. So the team didn't take him that they thought were going to
the
take him. So then
Rams.
Howie made a call quick. He was like, right,
They thought
get
they
me.
thought the Rams were going to take Cooper.
Yeah, the
So
Rams. That was it.
we stood pat last year. I don't think we can stand pat at 32 and get the kid out of South Carolina or the kid from Georgia. If we go safety, Eagles haven't gone
Mm,
safety in the first round in forever. It's kind of like the same deal with linebacker. Last
mm,
linebacker taken was in the 70s in the first round. But if one of those guys start to fall, and don't be surprised to see Howie move up a few spots to use some of those picks to go up and get him.
yeah.
It's crazy though, man. But another guy, another tackle that they met with at the combine and the one of the All Star games, Chase Lunt out of UConn. Not a big name, not a UConn, not a big household football name at
No,
all.
no.
But neither is Toledo, and we saw what Quinion done last year. But this guy's number 129 overall, 6'7", 304 though. He's a little light compared to the other
Well,
two guys, but he's just as tall. But from what I read, he's very athletic, very nimble, uh, better at pass protection than he is run blocking. But we'll see. Like he's got around a fourth round grade on him, something like that. He could
man,
be another late round pick project for Coach
yeah.
Stoutman. Who knows?
The size of these guys, like imagine
Yeah.
like how big they must have been at like 5 years old.
Oh my God.
It's insane. Like to be born like with those genetics, it must be. I mean, I'm a small little guy. Like all
Yeah.
my family members are quite small. Like I just can't imagine being that big and that tall and they're just giants, mammoths. Like yeah, if they do draft one of these guys, our O line is just going to be even bigger. We've got the biggest O line in the NFL as it
Yeah.
is. It's just nuts.
Yeah, it's insane at the size of these guys. But those three guys there, Anthony
Yeah,
Belton, Ozzie
they all
Trapillo, and
sound good
Chase
to me.
Lunt,
Yeah.
they all stood out when I was going through the meetings they'd had with everyone.
Mm.
And I'd kind of been looking, like I said, at the guy from BC, Ozzie Trapillo. For some reason, he just jumped out to me on things that I'd seen and read. I've not got to watch any tape on him. I'm not one of these guys, super draft guys that get to sit down and
Mm.
watch all the tape. I do have a 40, 50-hour work week job
Yeah.
too, but when I do get the opportunity, I will watch. Uh, they met with a lot of D tackles too. I've only written down 5, but dude, they met with at least like 10, 11 D tackles.
Yeah.
Like I said, either the All Star game, the Combine, Pro Day, or all three possibly. Uh,
Yeah.
one of them that I'm really high on, South Carolina, defensive tackle T.J. Sanders, six
Yeah.
foot three, two
Very
hundred
good.
ninety
Yeah.
seven pounds. He is number 62 overall on PFN. He can do it all. He
Yeah.
can rush the passer. He can play 3 technique like Milton Williams. He can be had in the second round, I believe. So if they do move up to get one of the safeties in the first round, unless there's an edge rusher that falls that they move up to get, he would be so good in this defense, I believe. He was
Yeah.
so good. South Carolina's defense last year was shocking to me how good they were.
Yeah. They
Uh,
were. I saw a
they
lot of South Carolina games last year, and they were they were good. They were a good
they've
team.
got a lot of good guys on that defense, man. A
Yeah.
lot of guys. Uh, another guy they met with, another SEC guy, Alfred Collins, defensive tackle, 6'5", 332, number 72 overall. But the thing I question with him is his pass rush win rate isn't as good as what you would
Mm.
think. He's
Right.
more of a Jordan Davis type, that
Mm.
he's a run stuffer type. But we
Yeah.
might, maybe they're looking at getting somebody like that in case something was to happen with Jordan Davis. He goes down with an injury or something, because Jordan Davis is our first and
Yeah.
second down defensive tackle for the most part on
I can see
rushing
them
down.
taking a couple of defensive tackles in the draft. Like just for that matter. I think they're going to want to find a new running mate for Jalen Carter to
Yeah,
replace Milton Williams, and find some depth as well for Jordan Davis. And they got you got Thomas Booker now and
yeah,
Ojimo. They both got to sort of step. They'll be battling for that position now. You know what I mean, to fill Milton Williams' slot as well. So it's going to be loads of battles all over the place. The defense for training camp this year. It's going to be really exciting to watch, because it's just we battles all over the place, and yeah, our defense could end up being better than we think, maybe, in the end. So we'll
Well, I
see.
mean, we thought, okay, we had the worst defense in the league last year. If it wasn't the worst, it was like, what, 29-30. And then
Yeah,
this year we come back, we have the number one overall defense in the league
yeah.
just by
After a
changing
rocky
defensive
start as
coordinator.
well, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, we got a new defensive coordinator, a new outside corner, and a new nickel corner. And
Mm.
that was basically, well, I forget about Zach Bond. My apologies. My apologies to what should have been the defensive player of the year, Zach
How can you
Bond.
forget? Is that? Is
But
that?
but yeah, I mean that goes to show what a difference Coach Fangio made with these guys, man. It's
Yeah.
insane. So I mean, but like I said, if I had to guess, Howie being Howie and the Eagles, how they like to build in the trenches. Don't be shocked if the first pick's like an edge or a tackle, and the second pick is what they didn't take with the first, an edge or a
So let
tackle.
me so let me butt in quick, and I sent you a thing yesterday. I was from a mock draft, and they had James Pierce Jr.
Yeah,
drop into the Eagles at 32. So if he's there and he doesn't get snapped up, which I know they were trying to plummet his draft stock and all that, which is a load of nonsense, we know. But if he does fall there, does Howie draft him if he's
yeah.
there? Do you think he drafts him?
Yeah, I think they
Yeah,
run to the podium if he's there because
yeah.
after his combine, his 40, his vertical, his that whatever the broad jump and all that. I
Mm,
didn't look and see what he done on the bench press. It's guys with long arms like that don't tend to do as well because they've got farther to go, with
yeah.
the bench. But he's still tough. Like you watch video from our game against Alabama last year, like he gets up in the tackle's face and just drives him back into Jalen Milroe.
Yeah,
Literally drives him back into him. So the strength is there to go along with the speed. Yeah, I don't see any way Pierce dropping out of the top 20 personally after his
yeah.
combine and all the nonsense of his draft stock plummeting because of what it like his attitude and him being dude. I've never heard a thing about him at Tennessee, not one
Mm,
thing. And I don't know like inside people at Tennessee, but I know people who do know inside people. And they said there's never been a peep made about James Pierce. He's never
yeah.
been one bit of trouble. I mean, you hear things now and then, especially like if you live near a place like Knoxville, where the University of Tennessee is, or probably uh, Columbus, Ohio, with Ohio State. And, same with any major college, you hear little things about players, traffic violation or got in trouble at a party, something like that.
Mm,
You never hear anything like that about James Pierce. I've never heard a word about him.
yeah,
So, I mean, I would be shocked if he drops out of the top 20. I really would. But
yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked if he dropped out of the top 20, 25, and how he could make a deal to jump up and get him if he
mm,
liked him. Like, I've not seen where they've met with him or anything like that. But he's a hell of a pass rusher, man. He can do it with
yeah.
speed. He can do it with power. Dude, they dropped him back in coverage at Tennessee, and he had a pick six once. Like he jumped up. He's 6'5", 240 something, and this son bitch jumped up. He's got them daggone arms that look like freaking like they're as long as my wingspan. One arm's almost as long as
Yeah,
my wingspan, and he just like jumps up and plucks the ball out of the air and takes it the other way for a pick six. It may have been in a bowl game against Iowa or somebody like that. I can't
yeah,
remember, but he's just a freak athlete,
yeah.
man.
These athletes, they're all freak athletes, and it's
Yeah,
just incredible. Like, and hats off to them. I wish I could have been born like
hell
that.
yeah, hell
But
yeah.
yeah,
But like I said, Walter Nolan, he's another tackle. Started at Texas A&M. He was the number
yeah,
one overall high school player in the country. Went to Texas A&M, played there 2 years. Went to Ole Miss last year. He's very athletic, three technique. They met with him at one of the All-Star games. I didn't see where they met with him at the combine, but the thing I like about him, along with his play, he's only 21. Only 21.
yeah.
So
That's
he's
awesome.
super young.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's insane. So I mean, the Eagles with this youth movement that they have, they're looking at that as well. And they're
yeah,
not going to show all their cards. Like they might meet with him at the All-Star game, but didn't want to show too much by meeting with him at a combine or something like that. Because
Yeah.
you've got to, it's like playing chess. You don't want to show everybody who you're meeting with, but if they bring this guy in for one of their top 30 visits, take a look at that. Because our boy
Yeah.
Corey from Columbus has said before, like, if you want to know who the Eagles are, like who they're drafting and stuff like that, and who they're picking up in free agency, go back to their top 30 visits and people they met with at the combine, because
Yeah.
they actually had it was either a combine or a top 30 visit with Kenyon Green from A&M, and I'm pretty sure they had a visit or a meeting with Dorian Thompson Robinson as well before they were
Yeah. I
drafted.
saw that. Yeah.
So I mean, they probably keep all their notes from any active player that see,
Yeah.
okay, we met with them at this point. You know they do.
Yeah.
So it's insane. They also met with a ton of linebackers, dude. A ton of
Mm.
linebackers. The one that jumped out to me, this guy's kind of he's they had him written up as edge but slash linebacker. I'm going to butcher this kid's name. I am. He's going to be an edge rusher though. Princerly Human Lynn or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's out of Ole Miss. He's number 58 overall on PFN. 6'4", 244 pounds. Kind of like in the Nolan Smith, Jalen
Yeah.
Sutro,
Yeah.
that type of build. He's going to struggle with the run because of his frame. He's
Yeah.
not as strong and built, but he's somebody who could build up to that.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
guy could be the second. Like if they go defensive tackle in the first round, this could be a guy they're looking at in the second round if he falls to them. You know what I'm saying?
That would be
This
interesting.
is
Yeah.
such a deep draft. Oh, it's insane at how deep
It
it is.
is. That's what I was saying before. Like, I cannot wait for draft night, the first two nights of the draft, and even the third, fourth night of the draft, because,
Yeah.
like we said, this draft is so stacked and it's such an important draft for the Eagles. Usually, you think coming off a Super Bowl victory, it's like, yeah, we'll just go do the draft and get whoever, get who we can, hopefully get a couple of good guys, and that's it. But because of the losses that we've had to free agency, and like you said, the youth that they're looking to bring in, every position is going to be so important for Howie and his team this year at the draft, because it looks like Dallas Goddard is going to be gone. They're shopping him. They've told him, go
Yeah.
have a look, see what's out there. They brought in two tight ends now off free agency to maybe compete for that second spot. Grant Calcaterra, is he going to be the number one guy now? If you know what I mean, or is he going to have to compete for that number one spot? Because he's not a great blocker either.
No.
That number one guy, they tend to, if they're going to mold him off of Dallas, well, they're going to need him to be a good pass catcher. They're going to need him good at getting open like Dallas is. They're going to need him to be physical and to be a good blocker like Dallas is. They're going to want all that in a number one tight end. But then you've got these three tight ends. They're not good run blockers, the three of them. So, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that position as well. So it's such an important draft this year. I can't stress it enough, and I'm so excited to watch draft night. I wish I could be there, cause it's going to be. I will be watching it live this year. I'll book time off work, and I'll make sure for night one anyway. I'll be watching, because I think it's just going to be. It's going to be an incredible, exciting night for the Eagles, I think.
Well, I do too, but it could be frustrating if we trade out of 32, which is what we done last time we won the Super Bowl. We didn't have 32, we had 31, and everybody was sitting there, and then it was like, the Philadelphia Eagles have traded, and everybody's like, what the hell? We've sat here all night, and now you trade it?
That's the problem when you're sitting there at 31, 32. It's like...
Yeah, but I'll take it. I would take that every year because we'd be picking last, and that means we've won the Super Bowl.
We've won Super Bowls. Yeah, of course, yeah.
The linebackers, like I said, they met with a lot of linebackers, which surprised me when I got to look.
That's insane, yeah.
I wrote down three that jumped out at me. One of them's Barrett Carter out of Clemson. He can do it all. He's
Okay.
great playing the run. He's great pass coverage in zone, particularly. Sam Mondon, don't forget this guy. He's from Georgia, number ranked 117 overall. He's like 6'2", 230. Good size linebacker.
Yeah.
Comes from Georgia, obviously. So you know they like what they say out of those Georgia boys. Another one's Teddy Buchanan out of Cal. This guy's probably got like a 5th, 6th round grade on him, But the thing that I've read up, he's got an extremely high motor, extremely high football IQ, excels in run, and he's advanced in pass coverage. They did have a formal meeting with him, but this guy's got like a fifth, sixth round grade on him. But they are going to meet with guys who have that grade, because if a guy slip, they could be a great special teams player for you. Who knows? He could be a
Yeah.
great backup for you. But these are just guys that kind of jumped out at me. The number one cornerback that they met with that jumped out at me is Trey Amos, out of Ole Miss. 6 foot, 195, number 48 overall in rankings as far as players. I think he's in Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 as well. I don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure I've seen him in Daniel Jeremiah's top 50. This guy, like, he really excelled this year in SEC play. Like, he had a hell of a game against Alabama. This kid's really good. He's so
Yeah.
good. I don't have his combine numbers. I meant to write them down, and I thought I did, but I obviously didn't. But like I said, I wouldn't really. I would be surprised now if they did take a corner in the top two picks, unless it was something like last year where a top corner falls
Yeah.
like Quinyon
Yeah.
Mitchell. But if this guy falls to him in the second round, this guy's got like a top 50 grade on him, and we're picking at 64, 65 in the second round. Why not? Why not
Yeah.
strengthen your secondary if he's there?
There's so many like factors that are going to go into this draft for Howie.
Yes.
Like there's so much he's going to have to try to cover, and I can see a lot of moving around possibly with these picks. He's going to be doing a lot of maneuvering, keeping an eye on who's falling, who's climbing. It's going to be very, very interesting, and this is probably going to be one of Howie's toughest drafts to sort
Yeah.
of pick with what he's got, because it's so, like you said, it's so deep at every position, man.
Yep.
He's got so much ground to cover, and I don't want to be Howie and his team, but then, like you said, I'd love to be sitting in that draft room as well,
Oh,
because
I'd
it
give
must be,
anything.
yeah, it must be so exciting and so tense and drama filled, and just like it must just be awesome. Like you said, we both love that film Draft Day.
Yep. That's what
I'll
I
be
was about to say.
I'll be watching that this year on Draft Day again. Pardon the pun, but I will be watching it because it's just such a cool insight. People think it's a bit of a corny film, but I don't. I love it, and I love watching it, and it's a great little film to sort of see what goes into a draft. Maybe it's a bit outdated now, maybe because they were back in New York then,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's such a good film, and like you said, we'd give anything to be in one of these draft rooms because it's just so cool.
Going back to last year, like that video that came out when they drafted Cooper DeJean, I can't tell you how many times I've watched that video, dude.
Yeah,
I
I know you
mean,
say yeah,
that video, it's so awesome because he's talking to Carolina, then he's talking to somebody else, and then he says, watch that phone.
yeah,
Because there's probably, 30 people in that room, maybe?
yeah,
20 to 30? He's like,
yeah,
somebody watch this phone. And he's talking to Jeffrey, and then it's like he goes out, and then he comes back in, and they're like, okay, so Carolina's here, Washington's here, the Rams are here, and then I think it was Carolina made a deal, and it said the Rams are on the clock, and it goes
yeah,
to the camera pans to Jeffrey. He says, well, that's it, because
yeah,
they just knew that the Rams were going to take Cooper DeJean,
yeah, Cooper,
and it
yeah,
says it comes out the Los Angeles Rams select Braden Fisk out of Florida State. They're like, yes, they're like,
yeah.
make the call. And
And
they
what
had
was
their deal.
what was amazing about that, it was that when Howie goes on the phone then to give to trade up to get him, he knew exactly what he was giving. He was like, yeah, like this pick and that pick, and we're gonna move it. Like you you have to be so on top of your game, I imagine, on
Yeah,
those teams in the draft rooms on draft night, because you have to know exactly what you're willing to give up, what you're willing to move around, and so on and so forth, because you just have to be on top of your game. You make one misstep and you don't get the guy you want to get. So how he knew, it's just straight away,
let
yeah, we're going to give this and that so I can trade up to get Cooper DeJean. It's just incredible. You've got to give these teams and their teams around them the credit, because it's just, you have to be so intelligent and so on top of your game on that night. After, even with all the preparation that goes into it, you make one mistake, that's it, you're done. Like, you ain't going to get
no.
your guy.
So let's talk about that. There was a mistake made, not in this draft, but last year's draft by the Raiders. They drafted a guy named Byron Young, but they
Oh yeah,
turned in the wrong Byron Young. They turned in the Byron
yeah,
Young from Alabama, who's a tackle who had a 6th-round grade on him in the 3rd or 4th round. And it was
mm,
supposed to be the Byron Young from University of Tennessee, whom the Rams got with either the next or a pick in between.
yeah,
And Byron Young is a cornerstone for their defense now. I mean, this kid, like
yeah,
as a rookie, 3rd or 4th round pick, I think he wound up with 8 sacks, something last year. And like now they've got him and Jared Verse lining up on opposite sides of each other. Byron Young is a stud, man.
yeah,
I would have given anything if the Eagles would have taken him. But
yeah,
yeah, the Raiders screwed up. That's why you have to be so on point and on your game. Like, okay, Byron Young, same name, but if you don't write down defensive end or edge, Tennessee.
mm,
And you instead you say Byron, okay, we're taking Byron Young, and it's like, okay, there's two. Let's do DT Alabama.
yeah,
The Raiders, that Byron Young plays for the Eagles now. He was cut. He's
yeah.
with us now.
I was
Guy
just
had
going
a
to say, I'm
6th-round
sure
grade on him.
he's in our in our defensive group
Yes.
somewhere.
So I
Yeah,
mean that just goes to show you have to be on point that night.
yeah,
Everything has to be in front of you. You have to know everything going on around you. And that's why we've got one of the best organizations. Like you look at our draft these last 4 or 5 years, how good we've been. I
mm,
mean, it's crazy. Like last year, our first 3 picks were huge contributors, not only for the Super Bowl, but our first 2 picks were huge contributors for the entire season. Jalen Hunt, he was a huge contributor in the Super Bowl and the playoffs.
yeah.
It's
I think
crazy.
the only draft that sort of didn't go well was the I think it was the 2020 draft or the 2019 draft for Howie. He took JJ Arthur-Whiteside
Yeah,
over Justin Jefferson, no, over DK Metcalf, and
DK
then he took Jalen
Rager over
Rager
Jefferson.
over over.
I think everything I've heard, the Jalen Rager pick was more of a Doug Peterson thing than it was a Howie. Like
Oh, right.
that's what I've heard. I don't know how
Yeah,
true it is, but
I think I might have heard that once or twice. Yeah, it's just, but like we've said before, how he's learned from those
yeah,
mistakes now, and he knows how pivotal it's been, and he's ever since that, his drafts every year have been phenomenal. So you know, it's going to be interesting because you've got Bryce Huff now still on the payroll. They can't cut him. They just, like you said last week, it wouldn't be nice for him to just be locked away somewhere because he's not hurt. He's got potential, but it's just they gotta, if they don't manage to trade him now during the draft or during the rest of free agency, he's going to be with us. He's not going to get cut. Even if he has a terrible training camp, he's going to be there. So they got to find a way to get something out of Bryce Huff now on that defensive line. So it's that's another factor, and I hope they can. I hope they can fix him, and we see his potential because of the money that he's getting paid. You know what I mean? That's another reason we couldn't keep some of these guys because of the big payroll that he's
yeah,
on. What's he on, like $50 million or something for his whole contract, something like that?
yeah,
So crazy. So let's sort of look to finishing the show now. Obviously, we're not the only team that goes through things in free agency. There's 31 other teams in the NFL that have been making moves throughout this the past couple of weeks. So how do you sort of see everything else that's happened? Because you've got the Raiders have made couple of moves. You've got the Seahawks that have made some surprising moves. But, they signed Sam Darnold. They brought in Cooper Cup. Cooper Cup now
yeah.
has signed with them 3 years, 45 million. That's a bit strange what Seattle have been doing. The Steelers, they signed DK Metcalf. They've brought in Kenny Gainwell for them. They brought in Darius Slay, but they haven't really got a quarterback. They cut. I think it was a big. I got a friend. I'm trying to get on with us soon, Julian, who's a diehard Steelers fan, and he's a great guy that I used to work with. And I messaged him the other day, and I said, Jules, how do you feel about they've brought in Metcalf, which is Metcalf is still at the top of his game, I think. But why have they let Justin Fields go? They let Justin Fields go to the Jets. if I was the Steelers, I would try and keep building around Justin Fields. He's not a bad quarterback. He's got potential. I just think, like you said before, when you land a team, when you get drafted by teams like Chicago Bears, Jacksonville Jaguars, you're not going to have much success. It's like Trevor Lawrence is, maybe if he'd landed somewhere else, he might have been better. He might not have got hurt so much. So how do you feel about all the free agency moves that have happened? Just with those types of players.
The thing that I've liked the most was what's his name? The guy that left Dallas, Lawrence.
DeMarcus Lawrence, is it?
DeMarcus Lawrence saying he had to leave because he knew he'd never win a Super Bowl there. I love it.
Well,
Love it,
Micah
love it,
Parsons
love it.
is
Because
clapping back at
he
him.
knows in his heart that that's a horribly run organization. That
Yeah.
their salary cap's going to be tied up between Dak and C.D. Lamb and Micah Parsons, and you cannot have your entire cap tied up around three players. You've got to be smarter. They're not smarter. I love it. And then the Giants paying Darius Slayton. Darius
Mm,
Slayton, what they could have had Saquon for last year.
I know.
They gave him more money than what Saquon got last year from the Eagles.
Yeah,
What the hell's going on up there, man? This is
I know.
ridiculous.
I'm stressed thinking that they've done that, and it's not even my team. I'm stressed for that fan base.
Oh hell, I don't care. Screw them. We got a saying down here, and I'll go PG-13 on it, but frig them, feed them beans. I don't care. Washington, I think they've made a lot of moves. I don't know if it's for the better though. They've overpaid some guys.
How do you feel about Deebo Samuel coming there? Do you think that's going to be a threat to us in the NFC East, or do you think he's on the downside of his career?
Okay,
Because he's not old, but he's not young. He's
yeah,
like he's
he's
in the
not the best route runner. He doesn't have the best hands. He's been known to drop the ball, but like it is a real thing that no NFC East team has repeated in like how many years? 20 years or 15 years or
since
something like
since
that.
like 2001, I think, or 2000,
Yeah.
something like that.
So I mean, we know Dallas ain't going to do it probably, and the Giants
No,
damn sure. So it's
no,
probably between us and Washington
and
this year.
Washington, yeah.
Uh, they they're pretty good, but like I
Washington
said,
have lost guys as well, though, haven't they? They've lost a lot of guys this year as well, but they brought guys in, so it's
I just I don't know. I think as good as Trevor Lawrence was, people were like, "Oh, the Bears should have not Trevor Lawrence, shit." Jaden Daniels. You said Trevor Lawrence, and I got thinking about him.
mm,
Jaden Daniels, as good as he was, people were like, "Oh, the Bears should have taken him." If the Bears would have taken him, he'd have sucked in Chicago.
yeah,
That's a horrible organization. It's a horrible situation they put that kid in, keeping that coach and then firing him, week 7, 8, something like that.
mm.
They should have fired him before the season and tried to get somebody in there. You don't do that to a rookie quarterback because everybody knew if they didn't produce or show some signs of life, he'd have been fired. And just horrible situation in
Thing
Chicago.
is, with Chicago as well this year, they've practically brought in a whole new offensive line for Caleb Williams, haven't they? They've
Yeah,
signed guys off the Colts, guys off the Chiefs,
they
guys from
traded. Yep.
Washington. He's got a whole new offensive line, so I can't really see. I know they got Ben Johnson now, and
Yeah.
but I can't see Caleb Williams having a. He may bounce back a little bit, but
I
that's
mean,
going to be. I don't know about that one.
he could bounce back. A really good offensive coach can do wonders for a quarterback. They
Mm,
can. We saw that with Urban Meyer, how he sucked it up in Jacksonville, just going
mm,
down there stealing money and everything, and then Doug Peterson comes in and kind of gets the ship steadied, and we saw what Trevor Lawrence could do, but Trevor Lawrence doesn't have a line, and
mm.
like they really need to solidify his offensive line. He's lost Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk. I don't know what the hell they're doing in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
That's a trash pound organization as well. I mean, why do you give up 2, 3 home games a year to go to England or something like that?
yeah.
I'm sorry. I understand every team goes across seas now and stuff like that, but the Jags give up 2, 3 home games a year to go over there. It seems like, and
I'm just
it's not.
glad the Eagles haven't got to go to Australia now because that
Yes,
is
that would have
ridiculous.
been
Like,
horrible. That's a
I mean,
24-hour flight.
yeah, for who's going there now? The Chargers and the Broncos, I think.
Ah, Maybe I'm
No,
not sure. I didn't
The
hear.
Broncos are going. No, the Chargers are going to. Chargers and Broncos are in Brazil.
Okay.
And then the Rams are going to Australia, but I don't think they said what the Rams are playing yet.
Okay.
So, but yeah, like going to like places like Brazil and Australia, like the flights and the jet lag that comes with it, and they've got to like as soon as they land, practically they got to get the hotel and then try sleep whatever they can, and then get on the practice fields, like you know what I mean, in a
Yeah.
different climate. It's just
Yeah.
it's ridiculous, like, and I like the games coming over here and stuff. But I'm not going to go. The teams that they bring to the UK are not like enticing teams that you want to go watch. You know what I mean? Like this year, we've got the Jets coming again, the Jaguars coming again, the Chicago Bears are coming again. I think the Vikings are coming again, and it's just like it's just all teams that are not enticing to go and watch. And the last 2 years, the teams that those teams have faced are teams that haven't been. I mean, one of the best international games I saw last year was the Panthers and the Giants, because they went to
Oh,
like over in Germany. It
yeah.
went to overtime, and the Panthers managed to scrape out a win. And but like the rest of the games weren't that good, and it's just it's too much now. And yeah, like if I was a Jaguars fan, I would be pissed off every year having to give up so many games to go to
Yeah.
London. I'm just glad the Eagles aren't in that position, and we haven't got to go to Australia now, because that would have been
That
absolutely
one.
ridiculous. It's too
Yeah.
far, too far.
That Australia, I was pissed when that came out. I know Jordan Mailata would be honored to play in front of his home country,
Yeah,
but by God, I bet the rest of them boys wouldn't. Because, like I said, that's a 24-hour flight, and for guys that big, 6'7",
yeah,
6'5", offensive and defensive linemen, being in a plane for that long, and I know they have like special amenities for those bigger guys, like a
mm,
different section of the plane for those bigger
yeah,
guys and stuff. But you're still on a daggone plane for that long, man.
yeah.
That's too much.
And
I'm sorry.
you don't know what condition the field is going to be in. I mean, when they played in Brazil, you know what I mean. You're playing on a soccer field, and the soccer fields are completely different to the NFL fields, because they're not built. Soccer fields are not built for the heavy guys. They're not built
Yeah,
for defensive tackles and offensive linemen. You know what I mean? They're built for guys that weigh like 90 pounds. You know what I mean? That are sprinting up and down the field constantly. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. And it's like in Australia, they're playing that game in a cricket ground,
yeah,
and it's like you don't know what the field is going to be like out there. You know what I mean? And it's a different climate, different weather. You know what I mean? It's just like it's probably not going to be good condition. You know what I mean? The NFL will try their best, but it won't look good. The Brazil game was terrible. The field conditions were awful. You know what I mean? It was like watching that Super Bowl again. You know what I mean? Everyone was slipping all over the place, and it was just like, oh God, here we go again. You know what I mean? So I'm just glad it's not us, and we haven't got to go out there now weekend, because we got a tough schedule. The Eagles
yeah.
have got a tough schedule this year. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy season. But we'll see. We'll see what
I,
happens.
I'm not sure, like, what he's going to do now. Like, right now, what I seen this morning on NFL Network, like, Aaron Rodgers is trying to decide what he wants to do. And some are saying
Oh
the
God,
Steelers, and some are saying, I forget who else.
I would be
If he don't go to
dreading
the
those guys
Vikings,
coming.
if he don't go to the Vikings, he ain't got a hair on his ass.
Yeah,
He needs to go to the Vikings and finish
go.
out the
Yeah,
Brett Favre retirement tour. He
yeah.
has to.
I know.
He
I
has
know.
to.
I
He
think
has to
Brett
go
Favre
to the
wants him
Vikings.
to finish it as well. I think he said, like, I'd like to see him finish my journey that I did, because yeah,
He
if
has
you're a
to.
fan of the Steelers or the Giants, I would not feel good about Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers coming to my team, and even the Browns as well. I think the Browns are in. I think Russell Wilson's been
Yeah.
speaking with the Browns as well. I would not feel good about those guys, because my friend Julian. I don't know what the Steelers are going to do a quarterback now. I imagine they're going to draft. There's talks of Jalen Monroe,
Yeah.
maybe being drafted by the Steelers, but then you know what I mean. He's not a finished product. You know what I mean. He struggled at the end of Alabama, didn't he? You know what I mean. He
Oh yeah. He's
didn't look
not
as good as he did at the
he's not
beginning.
that great of a passer, Jalen Milroe.
No,
He's not.
he's a running quarterback, and so he's not a finished product. So yeah, those for those fan bases, I would be dreading any of those guys coming to play quarterback.
There's a name being floated around out there as trade bait. Don't know how real it is. Joe Milton, former quarterback of
Yeah,
Tennessee,
I've seen. Yeah.
strongest arm in the NFL. Some bitch can throw it 80 yards and all that shit. But even while he was at Tennessee, like you had people who know the game better than me, like who talk on sports radio, said they believe once he gets to the NFL, he would be better because he's
Mm,
more suited for a pro style offense than the spread offense that we run at Tennessee.
yeah.
And he he won that last game last year for the Patriots, basically giving the Titans the number one overall pick. But there's talk that the Steelers are interested in trading for him if they are able to sign Rodgers to like let him learn a year under Rodgers. The deal they're wanting to do with Rodgers is only 1 year, and that's kind of like why
Yeah.
Rodgers is hesitant because they're only wanting to do a 1 year deal with him. But trading for Milton, I think they got him in the fifth round, maybe the sixth.
Mm,
But for a quarterback like that, who it was only one game that he played and he won and played well. Don't know if he was playing against backups or what. I didn't see all the ins and outs of
yeah.
that game. They're probably going to have to give up a fourth for him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they might be able to do like a fourth or a sixth the next year or something like that. But for quarterbacks, the price ain't cheap, man. Whether if it's a young guy, because a lot of people are saying, well, they believe they could have got more for Tanner McKee if they'd have traded him instead of Kenny Pickett, because Tanner McKee. What I've heard Jaws on WIP talk about how Tanner McKee literally carves up the number one defense in practice. He has watched it. He said, "I know it's practice, but it is the number one defense, and he's carving them up."
Wow.
So, watch out. Joe Milton could be traded. Like I
Yeah.
said, I've heard that the Steelers are kind of in on him a little bit. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I see. Well, it's been another great show, and I just want to mention quickly that Phillies. I watched the Phillies spring breakout game yesterday, and it was such a good game. It was so fun to watch, seeing all the young guys, and everyone was
What
hitting well. The
What
pitching
about
was
the
good.
boy? What about the boy from Tennessee getting the save? Combsy, baby,
Yeah,
Combsy.
he was good. He was good. He started off good. He got a little shaky in
Yeah.
the middle. Trying to get that last out is always tough. And what is he, like 18 years old? I think
No,
they said
no,
this.
he
No,
he's in his 20s. When
oh,
you
he's in his 20s.
in baseball, I'm not sure if you know this, but in baseball, when you elect to go to college, you have to stay 3 years. So you can't get
Okay.
drafted like if you can't get drafted until after your junior year. And then
Mm,
like if you get drafted and you don't like where you're drafted, you can stay. You don't have to sign with
mm,
that team. So it's different rules for college
yeah.
baseball players compared to NBA and NFL. I'm not sure if you knew
He-
that. That's just a heads up.
no, I didn't. I didn't know that. So that's good. Yeah. Yeah. He looked good. Trying to get that final out is always tough.
Come around here. Hold on. 1 second. I want to show you my Aaron Combs look-alike.
Oh,
He's, all right, get down here. Get down here and flash that
oh,
green.
there he is. How's it going?
Show him that
You right?
hat. Show him that hat. Here we go. Hang on a minute. He's pimping for you now. Get down here, son.
Oh yeah, look at that. Hey, the Vols had a good start yesterday to the baseball,
Yeah,
didn't they?
Did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Won our first game in the SEC tournament yesterday. Beat
Yeah.
Florida in our first SEC baseball game last night. So
Yeah.
hey,
I'm gonna have
defending
to start
College World Series
watching the
champions.
yeah. I'm gonna start watching the highlights on YouTube now because I can't get the full games over here. Like I
Oh.
could get the MLB and I got the MLB network to watch the Phillies, but can't get won't be able to get any college stuff. So I'll have to have a look
We
on YouTube.
We were at the Tennessee Mississippi State football game last year, and he had a couple of people asking him, "Are you Aaron Combs? Hey Combs!" People literally coming up. He looks that much. I'll send you a picture of Aaron Combs here later.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Aaron Combs when we won the World Series. He actually balked, and the runner went from first to second, and he just kind of turned, and he just had this shit-eating grin on his face, and it looks just like Owen here.
Oh, nice. Well, Owen,
But
well,
real quick before we go, my
hmm?
buddy Matt Gorham got me this
Yeah,
shirt from the Super Bowl champions. Matt Gorham in Pennsylvania. I think he lives about 45, 50 minutes outside the city. He's been listening and watching our pod. He had me and O. He's got a place down here in Tennessee. on the
nice.
lake in where is it? Kingston, something like that. Yeah, Kingston. Yeah. But he had me and Owen down last Friday night. We sat down and his wife Amanda fixed us a good dinner, and we eat dinner, sat and talk football and Eagles and all night, and just
No,
had a heck of a time. So man,
ain't nothing better.
shout out, brother. Oh, he
Yeah,
got me
shout.
some Super Bowl confetti too. Forgot about that.
Oh man, nice. Yeah, so I think someone sent Gary from Scotland
Yeah,
some Super Bowl confetti the other week. So it's just great. The community that's out there for this fan base is awesome.
it's
Yeah.
amazing.
So yeah, thanks Matt for watching the pod. Appreciate it. That's really cool. Yeah, we appreciate everyone that watches us and gives us a like and subscribe, and
Yes,
we
sir.
have a lot of fun. Owen, you're gonna have to come on with us soon.
We'll try.
He's a little camera shy. He ain't like his dad.
I was for a long time until I changed my job where I got to be on the camera on the laptop. I got a bit more confident with it. So yeah, I'm still learning myself. So yeah, that's what it's all about. So
Heck
yeah,
yeah.
So thanks everyone again for tuning in, and we're gonna have a few more draft pods coming up, and we'll get some guests on with us hopefully soon, and dig into the Phillies when they start up now on opening day, and see how they get off to the season. And like we said, this is an important draft for the Eagles this year.
Yep.
We can't wait. This is so important this year. You wouldn't think so, but it really is. And Howie's got a lot of work to do. And me and Jess are going to keep bringing the draft pods, as much as we can. So it's up until the draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. So have a good weekend, brother. And go Vols.
Go Vols,
Wales.
go Birds.
Big rugby match for Wales today. So come
Go
on,
Wales.
boys. Got to beat England. So yeah, thanks everyone. See you next week. Go Birds.
Love y'all. Mean it. Good show.